We are back 0 to 100K as a creative one-person business where I'm showing you how I'm growing my thriving creative business to $100,000 a year without abandoning my authentic blueprint of joy, integrity, and play. So if you're new here, I want to welcome you. It's July, so we're going to recap June and all the juicy stuff that happened. I'm Kev, a recovering perfectionist, and I love to experiment in my business. And I'm going to share with you all of the experiments that I'm running, the new mental frameworks that I'm putting into place, and any actionable insights that I discover that are helping me scale my business from the inside out, because I believe the inner work leads to the outer manifestations of everything that you want. So I want to show you that it's possible, because if I can do it, you can do it. Yeehaw! Now let's dive into June. But guys, before we begin, I have to be so honest with you all. June has truly been the most difficult month of my entire life. So what you're getting is truly the raw reality of what it's like to run a creative one-person business while also living life heart forward, which means navigating all of the inevitable beauties and hardships and trials and tribulations that come from wanting to be fully alive and wanting to embrace the fullness of life as it presents it in all of the different forms, good, bad, right, wrong, whatever you think of it. Living life brings up everything. So today I'm going to be sharing what I learned from my creative projects so that you can embody my lessons and failures. I want to share in particular why this has been the most difficult yet liberating season of my entire life. And I'm going to help you understand how you can embrace fear to expand your business and relationships. And also share what's next for me. I'm going through so much change. So what's going to happen to me, my one-person business, in all the aspects of my life. And hopefully that will inspire you to be able to collaborate with uncertainty and the unknown so that you could step into your higher purpose. And of course, we're going to talk about how much money I made. But to be honest, I only worked 4 days this month. But you got to stay to the end to understand how powerful this has been. So if you're here for transformation and growth, this is for you. If you want to pour your heart and soul into building a meaningful business through creativity, you are in the right place. So let's start with sketch of the day. This is out of the book Surf Shacks by Nina Freudenberger. Sorry I couldn't change the orientation, but it's a great book of interiors of all these surfers that have decorated their homes in really beautiful ways. Fun stuff. Found it at the coffee shop, that book. So let's talk shop. I only worked on one project this month. Big stainless steel handrail project. And by big, I mean it was a big paycheck for a big commitment of I can do this to the highest degree. So here they are in my shop. Here they are getting dropped off at the powder coater. They look super good. I don't know why we powder coated them black, but that's what the client wanted because stainless steel is the only thing that holds up on the coast, which is where I live. It's a little bit of insight into what it's like. I had to pour some concrete and I figured might as well celebrate the details, use some gravel to hide the feet so it looks like this metal is just coming out of the earth. And just super simple, but simple is not easy for anyone who's tried to do simple work, whether that's in art or architecture, furniture. Minimalism is hard to achieve because it takes a really, really high degree of intention, execution, and craftsmanship. So guys, this was literally the only project I did the entire month. So that's kind of explaining the beauty of high ticket offerings where I can do a fraction of the work, but I really have to make sure that the work that I do and the communication to get that work and sustain that work is absolutely on point with clarity, confidence, and connection to the vision that I have and the client's needs. So a little bit on that, I want to share about how you can work less and earn more from the inside out. So look into where you hold guilt and shame around money. I know I'm diving straight into it. I do this every time, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to look at your story around money, especially the emotions that keep you from really stepping into it. For me, I have a lot of guilt and shame around my money story that I've been rewiring for the last couple of years. So you really have to look into that. Look into the origin story of why is it better and safer to stay small and charge less, because it makes me feel like I'm a better person, whatever your story might be. Also, be kind to yourself. Don't try to go cold turkey all at once. Just ask yourself, how can I be 10% more confident in my gifts today? So whenever checking out a project, pricing a piece, or deciding what to charge for a service, just take a few moments to really breathe in and ask, how can I be a little bit more confident today? Just 10% more. And be realistic to yourself and what's going on in your reality. it's not going to feel comfortable for you at first to start saying, well, I want to make $10,000 a month, so I'm going to charge $10,000 for this project. That might not be the right path for you, and it might actually create more harm to your story because there's dissonance there. So you have to start with what feels comfortable and maybe just one step beyond that. Here's your comfort zone, just go one little step past it. And most importantly, the most important thing for me is learning how to honor a no. Especially when going and checking out work. At first, you really have to learn just to say yes to everything because that's how you get the ball rolling. But there's a really, really powerful embodiment in being able to honor, I'm not getting a good feeling from this, or this just isn't quite for me, and I'm gonna say no and turn down this money, turn down this work. And always, 10 times out of 10, that creates space for something better to land. So I said no twice this month. I was more on that later, but yeah, I'm learning to really access my voice in that way. So a practical business experiment you can run is identify what's taking your energy out of your zone of genius and maybe shift 10% of that energy towards a more high leverage task, even if it feels awkward. Because distraction's one hell of a drug. We love to busy ourselves in this area or this area when the thing that we should be doing is this. I should be going out and talking to people in my community and saying what I do, not messing around on my website. Hard truth for a lot of people. Also, celebrate your small wins. And by celebrate, I literally mean celebrate. Go take yourself out to lunch. If you're someone who goes out for like a nice drink or something at a cocktail lounge, whatever, go do that. It definitely starts to rewire like your neurobiological like relationships to this is how I applied myself, this was a reward, and we're always gonna have that functioning to some degree. So it's like celebrate yourself. When little things come in that really make you feel like, wow, that was great, go for it, lean into it. Huge one that I tell everyone I work with is just how can I communicate 10% more clearly and 10% more often? And just do that. Even if it's like if you're doing service work, which is most of you here hopefully do some amount of service work. Even if it's like, hey, just want to update you, nothing's changed since last week, I'm still waiting on XYZ. Have a great day. It's when we stay in clear communication often, we really actually build a relationship with our client, which is what makes abundance more possible, because better relationship equals just better energetics and flow and push and pull when things need to change. Also, when you ask for referrals, which is the next thing, ask for the referral, you've built a relationship on clear communication and just being charismatic in yourself. And that has a big value in the universe as far as energetics goes and how what goes around comes around type of thing. So yeah, these are people overlook these things, but that's also why I think a lot of people overcomplicate business and create unnecessary stress because we don't believe that the simple task is the thing that's going to drive the results. We want a more complicated answer to justify why things aren't working out currently. Hence, needing to address your story around guilt and shame around money, because we're just looking for ways to validate why that story is true because, oh, I've tried all this and I couldn't charge that money and it didn't work, so I'm right about my limitation on my mindset around money. Whole nother video, we'll dive. So now we're gonna get into why June was the hardest month of my life. And it's personal, so if this isn't for you, you're not into the personal stuff, but I like to share everything that I go through. So my partner and I, 4.5 years, decided to uncouple to embrace this next chapter of life independently. We closed our relationship with the most amount of unconditional love and the highest degree of reverence. We even had like a closing ceremony that felt more like a marriage than a breakup. I mean, to just briefly describe how powerful this was, a fucking bald eagle showed up at our ceremony. So that's kind of the season that it's been. It's been so powerful, but of course, the deepest grief and most pain I've ever felt. But I want to talk to the power of grief. So this particular emotion opened my heart to depths I didn't know existed. And inside of that, of course, I've never experienced such pain in my life because it immediately made me feel all of my unprocessed emotions that were keeping me stuck in old stories and patterns that I was unaware of. Stuck in my own personal development, stuck in my relationship to business, stuck in my ability to rewire that story around shame and money, all of those things. So it really created, grief just kind of bulldozed all of these unprocessed emotions to where I could see them and feel them, and it paved the way for the work that I need to do to rise as a man into this next chapter. And that's really the question I've been asking myself is, what does it mean to rise as a man? I'm 27 and I feel like I'm going through some huge shifts in life where I'm ready to step up my responsibility, and sometimes it takes the cosmic 2x4 or 4x6 to sort of help kickstart that deep work in a painful way. But the liberation inside of this grief literally is the greatest gift I've ever received. It's extremely difficult, but the love is more alive than ever in my own self and for life and for my partner and all of those things. So I want to talk about how this is going to relate to business in a second, but there's the power of creating a relationship to uncertainty and trust that life and God is going to connect you back to yourself, is connecting me back to myself with intensity, is like, that's the definition of liberation, to trust that and that you will be led and grow into the person that you know you can become with the commitment to embrace all of that shit. Oh my God, so powerful. I mean, talk about freedom. So through this, I've learned that relationship is really the vehicle for freedom and liberation. They're designed to help each other discover where you're not free. And that's like such an honor and a gift, right? So allowing myself to finally fully feel the spectrum of emotions is what being fully alive feels like. And it's like the more that I embrace this intensity, the more I sit with the discomfort that I'm actually trying to avoid, the more life gives. I literally only worked 4 days this month, and I almost made the most money I've ever made in a month. Because life was clearly telling me, hey, this is a huge transformation. You need to feel all of these emotions, and that's your only job. And guess what? You're gonna be provided. The more you lean into those emotions, the more you're gonna be provided for. So I just was kind to my nervous system. I literally just took all the time that I needed to just grieve. I would just go to the beach and bawl all day, or just feel excitement for like, wow, like we're doing this. What is this gonna lead to? I have no freaking clue, but I know it's gonna help me become the man I want to become. And so I've learned so many interplays between relationships and business. So the first big one is if you're stuck in one, you're stuck in the other. It's just how it works. If you're stuck in business, you're probably stuck in your relationship. If you're stuck in your relationship, you're probably stuck in business too. But I've noticed that the deep work that you do in your relationship will impact your business tremendously, but usually not the other way around. I've been working so much on my business, and that was inspiring and impacted our relationship to some degree, but every time that I did work on myself and in the relationship was when I saw the transformation happen in my business. And so the more you make yourself whole, i.e. like complete and heal, the healing is a journey, but the more I can like reconcile my stories of fear and become whole, the more that my creativity and business will expand because it's coming from a place of love rather than lack. And so what you want in relationships and business is always just on the other side of your deepest fear. So for the corny list of things, embrace your relationships to new depths. Have the hard conversations that you avoid. Ask yourself, do I feel fully alive right now? And what would it take to increase my aliveness? That one's really powerful. Chew on that for a moment. And also see a somatic therapist, because you'll be able to access those unprocessed emotions that are keeping you stuck in ways you aren't aware of because you aren't aware of it, you know? And always, your deepest fear is the doorway to your potential. And inside of all this transformation, I'm also like having to leave my house and my workspace. So it's like life is getting super juicy. My heart is open and it's like my soul is listening. Let's go. The way is being made for something profound that I can't even see. So what's next for me? A lot of deep work, commitment to becoming the man I know I can become, and a heck of a lot of creative expression. So I'm planning to double down on sharing everything I learned here from my 10 plus years of failure and breakthroughs as an ambitious creative. I'm also going to call in bigger projects to work on that may look radically different, or it might be the same, just to a new depth. I'm just opening my heart to like, yes, bigger projects, more responsibility, helping more people. And I'm really just leaning into uncertainty, because uncertainty is your greatest ally, my greatest ally, and the life that is being created for me that I can't see, I know is far beyond what I can imagine. And I'm just gonna unconditionally love myself so radically and show up in the world as that person, because it's working. Life is providing, and I'm feeling some beautiful momentum in all of this full spectrum humanity. Ecstasy, agony, grief, bliss, excitement, fear, all of these things. Now, last but not least, let's talk about the money. So I worked a total of 13 hours over 4 days this month. And the rest of the month, I literally just said no to a lot of unaligned work. I was kind to my nervous system, spent a lot of time in nature, like almost all day, every day out in nature. And I traveled a bit to follow my intuitive yes, like I think I need to do this. Just did a lot of deep work on myself, and I'm still doing a lot of deep work on myself. And for the first time in a long time, I'm just making some things for myself. Because I got so in the commerce of my creative expression that I wouldn't take the time to do it for myself. So I took that time, I've been building myself some really special things, and it feels so good to really ask the question like, what can I do for me that's gonna fill up my cup? And it's paid off because this month, $3,200, $1,500, $520. And that $520 came in randomly from an invoice that was outstanding in March. So how crazy was that? And the other $4,700 was from that handrail project last month, which was a total of $8,200. So our June total was $5,220, which is not too shabby for 13 hours of work in 4 days. So our grand total so far in this 0 to 100K journey from May and June is $10,970. Like, holy crap, that's a great number. That's pretty wild to think about. Now, of course, that's not all profit, but I'd say it's like 75-80% profit. Just pretty darn good for just one person running this little show. So I hope that you learned something here today. And I hope that like when you learn that you surrender to life and lean into your fears, that you realize life is gonna support you. You are never called into hardship without something better on the other side. So I know that the path is hard, it's turbulent, it's difficult, you want to avoid it, but because it's going to take you straight through like the death of who you once thought you were to make space and ask the question for like, who can I become on the other side of those fears? Like imagine what life looks like with a completely purified and refined self-concept. Like really imagine that. What if all of those stories of shame, of guilt, of inadequacy, of all of these limitations were reconciled and dissolved? Like who do you become in that way? Oh my gosh. And how you'd relate to the world so differently. So for me, like all of this is why I'm full body fuck yes to embracing this gnarly season that's so painful, because I know it's calling me deeper into the life that I know is possible, the life that I'm here for. So that's all, folks. I hope that this really resonated with you in some way, that you learned how embracing your emotions and fears has such a tremendous impact on your ability to expand your business, and that life will always provide for you when you really lean into what's feeling alive for you now, whether that's the highest of highs or the lowest of lows. Don't identify and get attached to either of those places, but realizing when I feel those, I get that energy and emotion flowing through my body so that I can become a clear, confident, and connected channel and a conduit for creating the work that I know the world needs. So thank you all. Appreciate you. See you in the next one. Ciao.